the relentless flow of life. The heights that staggered the mind have been brought far, far below in the relentless flow of life unto the ocean of the self. The sun and moon that shone so bright now glimmer with gentle light during the soul's ascending flight to the glorious summit of enlightenment. The hard rocks have been pulverized, the dark clouds have been dispersed. Space that expands so fast, and time that knows no past, both have vanished with the blast of divine grace in the glorious state of enlightenment. So Hamasmi, I am that I am. I am the Absolute Self. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नीलाम्बुजश्यामलकोमलंगं सीता समारोपितवामभागं पाणौ महासायकचारुचापं Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Adorations to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side, carrying powerful bow and arrow in his hands. Shri Ramcharitmanas in Ayodhya Kanda, and verse number is 129. Presently, Shri Rama, Lakshmana and Janaki or Sita, they are planning to find an abode in the forest, and they have come to Sage Valmiki for guidance where to find the perfect ideal spot. And Sage Valmiki, taking advantage of the occasion, start telling an essence of profound wisdom. Where should God abide? It has two ways to look at it. Who is dear to God? Or where should God, what is that temple, the temple of the mind, where God must abide? Dear to God, that has been elaborated in the Gita, and I will touch some points over there. Already, Sage Valmiki have spoken of the ideal abode which relates to mind that is highly purified. Sabu karmang hi ek phalu Ram charan rati ho Tinhke man mandir basahu Siyar gunandan do. Rama, he who performs all his duties, does his purushartha in a perfect way. And the only fruit they want of their self-effort is not the fruit of karma, but love of the lotus feet of God, Charanarati. Those who have that type of personality abide in the temple of their mind. You along with Sita. Implied, Lakshmana is not ignored. And further Tulsidas extends later, Ram Lakhan Sita Sahit Hridaya Basahu Hanuman. Rama, Lakshmana, Sita, and Hanuman. In the temple of your mind. And when we talk mind, it's same as heart, same as chitta. There's no distinction. It is the deepest core of your experience. You experience things through your mind. The deepest core in your mind is the heart, called the chitta, and very popularly, just the mind. Mana Mandir, the temple of the mind. Follow the highly poetic and allegorical description. The entire personality of the soul is considered temple. Deho Devalayo Prokto. Your entire body, from toes to the head, is to be viewed as a temple. And if you are sensitive, you must realize you live for a profound purpose. Purpose is realization. Aham Brahmasmi. The purpose is to discover who am I. And that discovery can be possible only when you are in embodied state. And your embodied state is not a work of your ego. God and Prakriti have brought about your body. And of course, you are a blend of three bodies, physical, subtle, causal. All that has been put together for soul's evolution and attainment of liberation. So consider this entire set as a temple. You don't do it immediately, but that should be your subtle understanding. As sattva enters more and more within your heart, it becomes easy to understand. You may go all over the temples and pilgrimage centers, etc. But ultimately, why do you do that? So that it touches your heart. And if you can't touch your heart without running around or without going, you are visiting the greatest temple. also understand all temples are engineering works of bricks and cement and many other things. It's all inert matter. And your body is alive from toes to the head. It's a temple beyond imagination. All this has to be brought into your mind. It's the purpose of satsanga, etc. When all this enters progressively, then your attention goes to recognize that soul within you is God Himself. But in the process of recognition, first stage, so you must discover that you must attain that which is the object of infinite love, not love that slips on. All worldly love is transient. But behind all worldly love, the real objective for the soul is to have divine love. And when you ask the question in a sincere way, what do you love most? Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. For the sake of your own self, all things become dear. The dearest of all in this whole universe is your own self. But your own self goes through stages. The stage of devotee, and God is the object of infinite love. When the soul experiences divine love, and God in turn expresses infinite love for the soul, the goal is attained. That's it. And in that goal, soul no longer remains an ordinary soul. A reflected sun, having realized or having experienced the love of the infinite, love of the sun, and climax of that love, the reflected sun no longer remains reflected or deflected. Mangahi ekupal. So, with this setting that the body is your temple and the soul is the devotee, and the soul has only one objective for the whole process of worship. Ek phal, only one purpose. Ram Charan Rati, love of Rama's feet. If you have that love, even an ounce, you have attained a tremendous goal. I'm giving a kind of allegorical way to understand. Taste of divine love is like taste of nectar. When you study mathematics and try to figure out how many drops of nectar you need to be immortal, one drop can make you immortal. Whole ounce can make you immortal. For an elephant, many pounds of nectar will make you immortal. It is not based upon quantity. Karmic attainment is based on quantity. How many good karmas you do, and so long you will have prosperity secure for you based upon how much good karma is behind. If good karma is not behind, prosperity will just move away. And you can be led to many situations, good and bad. So contrasted from fruit of karma, the fruit of Ramacharana Rati, devotion, love of Lord Rama's feet. Instead of karmic fruit, here fruit implies the goal of your project. If it is devotion to Lord Rama, that you have gained. Once it has come, it becomes anurakti. This type of rati goes on increasing. And your being drawn to God becomes increasingly intensified. Worldly attainment, also pleasant attainment, gives you rati. You become attached. But that rati does not increase. It begins to become infected by viruses. So, that now we have to protect something that is being eaten up. You are now in a different process. Your happiness depends upon karmic fruit. And anything creates raga, attachment. Attachment becomes an obstruction in your spiritual movement. So that's the difference between Vishaya Rati, pleasure of the senses, or love of sense object, that gives you Vishaya Rati, which does not increase. Your love diminishes, craving increases. Contrasted from that, love of God. If you do sadhana and there are quiet, serene states of your mind, and your soul suddenly puts out its tongue, as it were, tastes the nectar of divine love. Once it has tasted, soul cannot move away from it. It will face all challenges for increasing love. So if love is secure, love of God, then liberation is a slave to that bhakti. Liberation will come automatically. You don't have to worry about it. And if you have love of God, the question of worrying doesn't arise. All this from the advanced point of view, but that's the purpose of presenting the climax, the goal, and letting your mind to hold that goal before your view. Kama koha madamana namoha, lobhana chobhana ragana droha, जिनके कपट दंभ नहीं माया, तिनके हृदय बसहु रघुराया. He who is free of kama, krodha, mada, man, moha, lobh, shobha, rag, dvesh, kapat, dambh, and maya. See how many he has put together, just 2 lines. Calm, lust, perverted pleasure. Krodh, anger. Mada, in this context, arrogance. Man, pride. Lobh, greed. Here in this state, lobh implies coming under infatuation. Shove, excitement. Rag, attachment. Dvesh, hatred. Dambh, fraud. Rather, a little correction. Dambha is hypocrisy. And kapat is fraud. And the word maya here relates to deceit, deceitful action. All these are giving attention to, directing your attention to the lower self. These are the characteristics of the lower self. As long as these things control your personality is not a temple. Or as long as these envenom your mind is essentially a temple, but the temple becomes filled with worms and frogs and lizards. And that temple, you can't worship God in the temple. The mind is the best of all temples. And Rama is under the control of Valmiki. Where Valmiki says, where should Rama go? I'm joking. Sage's statement is a truth. And all spiritual movements are under the control of the sage's revelation. So from that point of view, I gave that. सबके प्रिय सबके हितकारी दुख सुख सरिस प्रशंसा गारी कहीं सत्य प्रिय वचन विचारी जागत सोवत शरण तुम्हारी. And he who is dear to all and who renders good to all, that type of heart you have to possess. If you want your heart to become the temple of God. And that's the purpose of enshrining your heart, to have God enshrine your heart. The purpose is not for you to have ordinary experience once in a way. Some positive experience does come. That's very inspiring. You see God, Rama, Krishna, whomsoever, coming and appearing in your vision. And so great inspiration. But that's in the process. That is not the goal. Is if that darshan of God, if that communion with God has changed your personality. A doctor can go on talking to you for hours in a very soft voice. But if he has not corrected your headache, then your coming into contact with the doctor is not very effective. So, this is being said because in the name of darshan, people have developed countless imaginations. There are lots and lots of stories of darshan. And the people go on writing that, and that when I was only 7-year-old, I had a particular darshan. But that darshan didn't make you humble. The darshan didn't inspire you to follow your spiritual path. The darshan didn't give you that sensitivity that God is in your mother, God is in your father, God is everywhere. This was darshan, it's wonderful, good karma. But that darshan has to become sudarshan. It must become effective. Coming to the ideal set, this is what you want as a human being who has lived a successful life. Then the heart in the person should not be restricted to just a few near and dear ones. Your prayer, your goodwill must be for all living beings. Without thinking, why should I have goodwill to others? I have nothing to do with them. My hand cannot reach there. No. Surrender to God, God's hand reaches everywhere. And He doesn't have to reach, He is all permeating. So, more love for God means more divine love you can collect in the basket of your heart, and you share it. In sharing, you don't work hard, just a matter of your own gracious will, gracious devotion, prayer. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, may all be happy. And when you say, it should not be just verbal, your heart should feel a sense of sincerity about it, that your voice is being handled by God. Goodwill is always good. Prayer is always good, because behind that there is God's hand. But negativity is always bad, because behind that is Ravana's hand. Sabke priya, sabke hitkari. Be good, do good. Dukh sukh saris, prasansagari. Life presents challenging situations. Some situations come in the form of prosperity, things that you wanted for more luxury, for more material pleasure, and they come in abundance. Lots of Christmas gifts. And sometimes stormy conditions, torrential rains of adversity, one adversity after another. If you are loving God and God understanding that it's mutual, God loves you, that's the potential reality. But His love will manifest as your mind becomes increasingly purified. God and soul. Again, I remind you with Gita's statement, Upadrashtanumantacha bharta bhokta maheshwara. God is watching over you always. Upadrashta. when you begin to do, when you begin to live your life that promotes integration of your personality, when you move on a right path, even shortest movement, God's smile trickles down into your prana and you feel a special inspiration. So that's called Anumanta, which means God is patting your back, approving you. Upadrashta Anumantacha. And you come to a state that you don't have to worry about anything. Your body, your mind, circumstances, they are in the hands of God. But this doesn't mean that you stop doing everything. In your self-effort, you'll be vibrant, more energetic because you have nothing to worry about. Somebody has already accomplished it. So if you are facing challenging situation, face it boldly. Don't worry about how things will happen some years later. And many other worries, of course. Human mind is crowded with it. But a deep understanding of faith, that gives you a solution to all those problems. Jaako rakhe saiya mar na sake hain koi. Once you have come to discover in your heart that God loves you and you are under His protection, now your mind should not hold any doubt. It doesn't mean that you start living careless life, no. Because He is behind you, see yourself being highly skilled, highly inspired. All positive in you begins to shine. Coming back to the statement I made, Upadrashta, God is watching over you. Anumanta, God has started patting you. Whenever you do good, there is a divine touch, appreciating you, encouraging you, inspiring you. A third stage, Bharta. He becomes a complete, in human relation, women called husbands Bhartar. It should be both ways, but it's just a social problem. Because all that a person needs, everything you do in your life is ultimately linked to your goal, attainment of God realization. So in human relation, husband and wife, they are being led to worship God in each other. That's the ideal. And so when you begin to love God in each other, then you don't go after petty things and go on condemning each other over the smallest minor things. When that state reached, you will always pray for each other, help each other to become better. I will not go into too much detail, but that's the meaning of Bharta. God loves you not with moha, but his love is profound. You have done lots of errors, his love doesn't calculate them. Astrologers do, but not God's love. Karta Bhokta Maheshwara. So as you go through these succession, God approves. God has become Lord and Master, loving umbrella on your head. And then you realize ultimately that God alone is the reality. Lali mere lal ki jit dekhaun tit lal. The devotee goes, sees glory of God sustaining him from all sides. Wherever you are, God is behind it. Your car, doing your job, no matter where you go, it becomes a basis for loving God. And when the love has become completely profound, the mind melts into it. The light becomes profound behind a cloud, and a cloud has given a little channel. Then the cloud simply melts away. All through it, the cloud goes on enjoying it. First it puts on new dress, shining dress, and dances. And then gradually sings the glory of God. Figure that out, what I will say. And then it melts. That's the story of devotion to God. So therefore, pleasure and pain, mind remains calm. Pleasant condition, painful condition, mind goes after serenity. Serenity scented with devotion to God. And prasansagari, when you are praised by somebody, and when you are rebuked by somebody. You should not live on the basis of superficial praise and rebuke. People have their countless problems, and when they start coming close together, each one projects his whole personality over the other. And when you see, he sees in his life, in his own way, that the personality doesn't fit into his expectation. Start scolding it. Why are you doing this? Why did you build your house there? It abounds with mouses. I'm joking. Why don't you go to that church? Instead you are going to Hindu temple. And they mean it well. Each one tries to impose their ideal over the other in the name of love. Also understand, you have no other choice. But one point, your heart should be open. You give good advice, but your heart must be open to understand that the person may not follow your advice. Your advice is not authentic. So ego should not play the part. Your good heart must do what you want to do with a relaxed state. You wanted to help a person, and a person became angry with you and rather insulted by you, stay quiet. And you didn't do anything substantial, but the person is clever, goes on praising you a lot. Praise and censure. That spices up human mind. And you've got to figure out the role of praise and censure. But to be defined by others' statements, that's stupidity. So therefore, you shouldn't be concerned. If you don't have a good quality to your own satisfaction, others can't convince you that you have it. This is your experience. So why do you worry about? Why should you become so fascinated when you hear people praising you a lot? And when they praise, they want to stay with them. And you have stayed with them for years. And then suddenly, they don't understand you and they become enemies. Praise and censure, that's very superficial. And yet that's what holds the practical reality of the world. But the project of liberation cannot be confined to practical reality. So you have to aim at that state where dukh, sukh, pleasure, pain, praise and censure all become little waves. And you are saying waving goodbye to little waves. You are going to the ocean. No worldly emotion. God's devotion. कहीं सत्य प्रिय बचन विचारी जागत सोवत शरण तुम्हारी. And in their statements, three things are involved. Satya, sincere. But when you do sincere expression, but if you are defining truth to please your ego, it is fact, but not the mystic truth. Let me explain. First error is you may hear sometimes some friendly person says, I have to tell you something, but it will hurt you. But what can I do? This is the truth. He's more interested in hurting you. Truth is a pretext. So that's the good quality. So speak the truth. But if it is hurting someone or going to hurt, stop it. Priya. Speak the truth in a way that it will help the person. Here again, the statement should not be taken literally. It means use your art. You know this is the truth. Somebody needs to go to a doctor, he's sick. But you have to create an art to tell the person that which will make the person agreeable, and you may say, I have big headache, can you take me to the doctor? I'm joking. You create your art. That's art of advice. You see. People have lots lots of things to give as advice. But advice ends up with adding vice. But you are good-hearted. God within you, Saraswati, changes your style. And you can say amazing things that will touch the heart of the person, and person will follow. All this doesn't become successful 100%, but even little degree of that type of sincere approach and that type of intention to help others, that pleases God within your heart. So speak the truth. Satya priya bachan vichari. Speak the truth, it should be sweet. And there should be vichar behind it. Your mind must have understanding. So don't take it literally. Literally means that comes to a state of chapalusi, buttering your statements. Jagat sovat sarana tumhari. And in all conditions, one who has surrendered to God. Surrender to God is not experienced in a certain special position. It's a heartfelt experience. And no matter how your body is, no matter what type of action you are involved, no matter what type of situation you face, love remains internal, unaffected. And love gives you ability to wait, watch, and boundless patience. Activities go on, but God, the sweet sense of surrender to God continues to sing its melody in your heart level. Tumhai chhadi gati dusari nahi, Ram basahu tinhke man mahi. And one who has understood that the goal of life is God realization, nothing else. Go Ram, go and do, abide in that temple, abide in that mind, as if Ram is not there. Janani samajanahi paranari, Dhanu parava vishate vishabhari. And he who has developed divine attitude to human relations. He who literally here relates to, instead of looking at the world with a mind filled with a sense of pleasure, human beings are not objects of pleasure, but a relationship where bodies are loved because of the body, not for anything else. Putting in simple terms, develop the attitude that all women are mothers. Both ways it goes. The attitude, all men are fathers. All women are mothers. That motherly love or fatherly love. That love becomes more powerful than sex-related or infatuation-related love. Infatuation-related love is a source of boundless anxiety, pain, and delusion. It can be positive if you have a purpose to enter into household life. And you can hold that type of attitude to your wife or to your husband. But that should not become directed to people around you. For people around you, Matri Devo Bhava. All are mothers, all are Devis, and all men are gods. That type of attitude allows the instinct to love attain tremendous fulfillment because it has no limit. And those who consider others' wealth like poison. In other words, the greed. Led by greed, you should not snatch away the objects of pleasure from people around you. ये हर्षहि पर संपत्ति देखी, दुखित हों ही पर विपत्ति विषेखी. Those who rejoice seeing people around them happy and prosperous. And when others suffer, they are touched by their suffering. Sufferings touch their heart. Others suffer, but they are touched in the way you begin to pray for them, begin to develop a sense of what can I do to help them. जिन्हीं राम तुम प्राण पियारे, तिनके मन शुभ सदन तुम्हारे. O Rama, those who consider you dearer than their very soul abide in the temple of their heart. Point to understand, your very soul is not real. The reflected sun has no reality in itself. So only reality is in the sun. So that's subtle theme of mystery behind devotional movement. You go on developing more and more of self-effacement, surrender, self-effacement. Every mantra ends with Namah, neither me nor mine. All is divine. Swami Sakhapi tum atugur, जिनके सब तुम तात, मन मंदिर तिनके बसहु, सीय सहित दौ भ्रात. Those who consider you, all relations put together in God. He is your Swami, your Lord, Master. He is your friend, He is your father, He is your mother, your Guru, He is your beloved. All relations mashed together. In the temple of in the mind temple of such a devotee, O Rama, O Lakshmana, O Sita, abide. So, we'll continue at this stage. Our Ramayana goes very slowly. त्र्यंबकं यजामहे सुगंधिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्ष्यमामृतात्। हम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम हरि ओम तत्सत्।